we shared, that they're going to tell you the significance of that meeting. If you do it right, it will definitely work because your intention is pure. As a father, I always had loving attitude towards him and I always caring about him. But somehow I couldn't communicate that. Somehow my actions were not speaking louder than my words or my feelings. So my action were actually the contrast of what I had in my heart and mind. So, but through that meeting, it helped me to understand him better. It also helped him to understand me better. So today's the first module was about the deep meaning meeting. Those who forgot the steps or the crux of the whole session do meet me during the dinner time. I heard there is a korma, so we're gonna spend more time there. So inshallah, we'll so those who forgotten the crux of that meeting things, I gonna explain you all. But there's a recording available as well. Yeah, the recording is also available. But today I'm gonna move forward so that we're gonna learn more, inshallah. So can you remove this strip? So let me come here and this is this is an example of a paradigm, how you see things through your window. And as a father, and even as a son, those who are young, kids sitting there, you have to have a window of reference. So if I talk about any part of the world, everybody has a frame to look things through their window. And maybe that window is correct, but you do not realize that somebody else also seeing the same thing from different window. And they have different frame of references. So they might interpret something else. And if you have that combination and alignment of thoughts, then probably misunderstanding will arise in less number of occasions and in less time. So if we look at this picture, and if you all look at it, what do you see in this picture? See a young woman and an old woman. How many of you see young woman and an old woman? It's one big woman. Two. Two. So if you look, this is the chin, this is the lips and the head. So this is an old woman about 60 plus or maybe 70. But in the same picture, you can also find a young, maybe 16, 17, 18 years age of girl. Here is the chin, this is the nose, and this is the hair and the feathers. So if you don't see this part, you're gonna see this a young girl also. So one picture has two personalities in it. So similarly, when we see things in front of us, there can be two different things coming into your mind and other minds, and both are right. If you call it as an old lady in this picture, and it is being taught in Harvard School, in Yale School, in all the business school, in the first orientation session, they teach this picture to the students that having different paradigms, different perspective, and it relates to so many things. So imagine when you are seeing your child not talking to anyone, and you feel that either he's arrogant, he's disobedient, he's ignorant, and maybe this window that's showing this feelings to you or this impression completely wrong. And many times it is wrong. But being a father, we all behave in a manner that actually further push that son or daughter away from you. So this is about your perspective. Your perspective cannot be right always. Your perspective can be wrong. Your perception of thinks about your child may be wrong. So this is the paradigm, and there's a lens or a glass to see the world. And I'll show you a video which actually explains this whole thing. Uh, with having little uh, women also in it. Is that okay?
आवाज में जरूरी बंदों सकता है
Can yeah, but
So much of what we do in our personal lives and at the office is the result of the paradigms we hold. And what we do, in turn, affects the results we get.
Thanks for coming to the meeting today, everyone.
The word paradigm comes from the Greek root paradigma, meaning pattern, the pattern we expect to see, or the mental image of the way things are. We see everything through the perspective of our own paradigm. If you see your industry as one where growth is impossible, how does that affect what you do every day? And what results do you think you'll get from your actions? On the other hand, suppose you saw unlimited prospects for growth in your industry. How would that change your actions? What we see, our paradigms, determine what we do, which in turn determines what we get. And unless we consciously stand apart from and examine our paradigms, we might never see that perhaps many of them are distorted, short-sighted, or just flat out wrong. I remember a mini paradigm shift I experienced one Sunday morning on a subway in New York City. People were sitting very quietly, some reading, some resting with their eyes closed. Suddenly, a man and his children entered the subway car. The children ran yelling to the car, throwing things, grabbing people's newspapers. Their father sat down near me and closed his eyes and did nothing. I felt irritated. I could not believe he would let his children run wild like that. After a few minutes of patience and restraint, I turned to him and said, "Sir, your children are really disturbing a lot of people. I wonder if you could control them just a little more."
Yeah, you're right. I should do something. Well, we just came from the hospital where their mother died about an hour ago, and I guess they don't know how to handle it. Yes, I don't know how to handle it.
Can you imagine how I felt at that moment? My paradigm shifted. Suddenly I saw things differently. And because I saw differently, I thought differently. I felt differently. I acted differently. My irritation vanished. Compassion flowed freely. I wanted to help instead of criticizing and complaining. Once you see things as they really are, you'll think, feel, and act differently. And you'll do it automatically, spontaneously.
so that's about the paradigm and the paradigm shift. We read this word very often in our books, especially in the management books. Paradigm shift is like mandatory part. But that is the paradigm shift. So if you look towards your child and if you talk to them with a different window, and then your paradigm shift will actually happens. And see how he was thinking about the person who entered into the subway, and the kids are, just disturbing everyone. He wrote in his book that I was so embarrassed after knowing the fact that their mother just died because of the cancer, and they don't know how to handle that pain and suffering. So he said, I was completely flat after that. And then the compassion and then he asked him, "Can I help you? How can I help you?" So looking at see from your own window, from your own lens, that is paradigm. And when you have fixed paradigms, so meaning that if your child is not with you in the masjid for the prayers, so you feel that he must have not prayed that prayer or the Asar or Zohar, whatever the time was. In Pakistan, that's very common. If the child does not go with you, that means he did not pray. Many times they've been actually victimized for it. Especially the mothers, they never believe that he or she prayed the namaz if they are not actually did in front of them. So if you have that paradigm, you will always behave in the similar fashion. And when you do the action in the similar manner, the results will always be the same. You will disturb the mindset of your kid. They're gonna hate you because they will understand that this person, number one, doesn't love me. Number two, he or she has some problems with me. I cannot be wrong always. And you're always in a mode of training them, so you're always trying to teach them. So this paradigm has to be fixed because when you shift your paradigm and you can can believe this thing that yes, if he's not following my instruction, maybe during this period, maybe next month, after that, there's a whole life journey in front of you. So it's not just a matter of a day or 2 days or a week or a month that irritates us, frustrates us. And then we can go to any extent to deal with them. That gonna further damage the relationship. So because the results will not change. If you keep doing what you were doing, the results will come that was coming in the past also. So your practice has to be changed. And that cannot be changed unless your thinking and your looking parameters changed. So if you want to see your child to be more obedient, you should believe that he is obedient, he can improve further. But if you think he is disobedient, he always ignorant, he always showed attitude to me, that will further push him backward. So the paradigm is the key in changing the relationship. And that change in paradigm actually move you to talk to your child that we discussed in the deep meaning meeting. And then you are ready to accept your faults. Is it does not harm you if you apologize or you if you say sorry to your kid. It rather lift your stature in front of him in his eyes or her eyes. So this is the principle of effectiveness. If you want to be effective with your kids, you have to have a different paradigm, different thinking tangents, different perspective about your child. You have to ignore their weaknesses. You have to ignore their problems. You have to keep your lens towards their strength, their good things, rather than bad things. And research mentioned that if you work on the bad things will further grow in the proportion to the good things. But if you move your lens towards the good things and you appreciate the child, you are really good um, at memorizing Quran, or if you always pray on time, or if you always help me in my work. So if whatever the good things they are doing, you have to focus yourself in that part and then keep enhancing your discussion on that good things. The good things will slowly and gradually expand, fortify. And in proportion, the bad things, even if it exists in the similar proportion, it will look small. So now about the behaviors towards our kid. One very important behavior is a reactive behavior. There are two behaviors in every human being which demonstrates in all the occasions. One is reactive, one is proactive. And we'll discuss about what is reactive and what is proactive. So reactive is whenever any stimulus comes to you, you don't take pause. You immediately respond to that stimulus. That is reactive. And the author mentioned that in a very simple terms, keep the remote control of yourself in your own hands. Don't give it to anyone else. So if your kid is actually having your remote control in their hands, they're gonna switch on and off and on and off, and your fuse will go off. So in most occasions, we are actually always in a reactive mode to our kids. We see any bad things, our immediate reaction actually disturbs them. So that's reactive behavior. And a stimulus, immediate response. And we'll see what is a proactive behavior. Look at the reactive behaviors and the languages we use. Get angry and say things they regret afterward. So Hassan was very fond of going to the livestock, we call it Bada, the animal place. And I love human beings, but I hate animals somehow. I couldn't spend even an hour with them. Somehow I was never, even though my father was having always like goat inside the home or the cow, many weeks before the Eid ul Azha and all that, but I never, used to of spending time with the animals. He is so much fun, and his younger brother, who is also having a Bada in Karachi, and they had allergic induced asthma. So I always tell him not to go, and all the time he took permission from the mom and goes to the Bada, and the next day he came with the sneezing, flu, and then asthma, and I had to spend nights. Irritated me a lot. So afterward, I think at one occasion I really very hard on him. And he was crying. He was small, I think, but 9, 10 years old. All the siblings, all the cousins are going to that place, but he was not allowed. That was very simple. If I could have changed my paradigm, it does not cause a major life-threatening problem to him. He can have fun, especially on weekends. But somehow we have been raised in an environment that you have to be really tough and hard and be decisive. So every time that irritates me and I get angry on him, and then I regret, since I'm a soft-spoken person, a kind-hearted person, after that I always regret, oh, I shouldn't be behaving that in front of all those, cousins and everything. Oh, he feels so embarrassed. So whine and complain, always, putting blame on somebody else, blaming other people and things, act like victims, don't take accountability for their actions. And look at the language, the statements. You make me so angry. It's not my fault. I could not help it. That is just the way I am. So I always tell him, that's your bad luck. You got a bad father who is very tough on you. So I cannot help it out. You have to live with it. And he was never, kind of replying to me in a bad manner. Always very obedient in there. So he always, keeping his head down. And in our part of the world, when the kid is not seeing towards your eyes, you get angry. Look at me. Why you are not seeing? And when he look at me in my eyes, why you are staring me? I don't know if I just reflect back as what what a stupidity I did. Honestly, I shouldn't be like this. So, but that's what I did, and that's what we all have been doing with our kids. Extremely damaging. What is proactive behavior? When people are proactive, they pause to allow themselves the freedom to choose their response based on principles and desired results. So, having that experience with Hassan, I copied that experience to all two of my kids who are at home. My daughter, who who is the eldest one, got married at the age of 19, and mashallah, she is living now in Dubai, and I'm having a grandson now, mashallah, 4 years old. So I applied that proactive behavior that now whenever I get angry, I don't reply. I just pause. I just keep quiet. That means I'm keeping my remote control in my own hands. Because when you say things, it goes out of your hand. It's going to be staying in the mind of your children. And guess what? The research proves that. I'm talking about Harvard Business Review research. If you insult your child once, it's going to stay for 20 years in his mind. For 20 years. And if you appreciate him, it only stays for 23 days. So there's a contrast. 20, I was shocked to read that paper.
Just a quick question on that.
Yeah.
Do you think all these researches are applicable to the modern times? Like we are living in, because we all have been insulted by our parents, or knows how many times in us, as well as, of course, our upbringing from subcontinent. That's what I think most of us are belongs to. So we all have by sort of just unconsciously follow the same procedure, shouldn't be applying here. But none of us, I personally, my uncles, I used to live in a joint family, and you could get beaten up.
Oh, many a time.
But somehow I never felt that it was just part of the norm. Everybody was just getting beaten up. So you just get along with it and you somehow come out of it as you grow, and then actually you respect your parents more. That they were really tough to you. That's why you became what you became. And but I have the same dilemma all the time, that how come suddenly in the last 21st century it just changed. So just touch on it.
Yeah, we'll touch at the end after just covering this. Otherwise, you're gonna be late in your dinner. So if you look at the proactive behavior, whenever the stimulus comes into you, any wrong conduct or behavior of a child, you have to pause and to choose the response. So you have to think through, should I respond to him right now, or maybe after an hour, or maybe tomorrow? And it is not your insult to ignore the bad behavior of your child. That we believe it will be a great kind of insult to us that we did not respond, and in our time it was everything that comes to you after that behavior. So look at the proactive behavior and the languages. Remain calm, focus on solutions. How can I improve this thing? What can be done to actually explain him or her my desire or my position? We want to make him better or a good human being, a good person, but they don't understand it. How can we explain this thing? Take the responsibility, take initiative to make things happen. Think before acting. And look at the languages of proactive. I can, I am sorry. That's a magic word, honestly, believe me. I choose, let's look at all of our options. And there's gotta be a way. Let's find out that way. If you're stuck with your child for something that you couldn't find a solution, let's have a discussion with the child. And the book mentioned that about this with the certifications I get, right? We never had open-ended discussion with our child. Open-ended means you are actually ready to listen. You ask question and then you shut up and then listen. So last week I slept. I'm a early to bed person, so I slept early at night, and Next morning, I saw that my other phone had a broken screen. So I asked my wife, what happened? He said, oh, the younger one went to the shop for buying something. So she gave the phone so that, he can be in touch. So she told me, my wife told me that when he came back, it was about 10:30 or 11, and it was dark all outside. Somehow he got fearful or something happened. He ran to the door and he just fell down and the screen got broken. So I said, okay, fine. I didn't say anything. And I had that, deep meaning things in my mind. So when I came back from the office, I asked my youngest one to just go outside for some ice cream or something. So I took him outside. So I asked him that, oh, you had some problem last night. What happened? The screen, broke. What was the reason? I just tripped and okay, fine. No issue." Then I told him, when I was young, I was always fearful about the darkness. And whenever I go to the masjid for Isha or Fajr, I was always feeling that somebody is like following me. I was in a younger age, I was very coward, very timid guy, and always staying at home. So I was always fearful of the darkness. And when I look at old trees, I was always had the feeling some jinnat or some kind of ghost is hanging, and I always ignore to see that trees. So I was just sharing. He said, Baba, I'm a almost copy of yours. So I said, what do you mean by this? He said, last night, you know what happened? So what happened? He said, I don't know. It's always the feeling that somebody is following me. So as soon as I entered it from the main gate, I thought somebody is like grabbing me from the back. So I ran and I tripped, and then your phone screen broke. That's okay. So I said, it's just always or, and honestly, I didn't know, but till that time, I didn't know that because he's always very strong and very kind of less talkative, but always showing a good strength in all the situations. So he then keep talking. We finished the ice cream. It's about like almost 2 hours. He was telling me about his fears, his aspirations, his weaknesses, which is always covered. I didn't know that. I always knew this young man is about 15 years and mashallah going to gym and then taking like a bench press of 25 kgs. Man, what you're doing. But from inside, he's very, very weak. He's fearful of almost everything. It's like a shock to my life that so I didn't know this. I never helped him out for this thing. So if you talk to your child in a congenial, in a convenient environment, they're going to share their personal thing. That is the key to shift the gear. So I was listening to one of the scholar and they were discussing about is it allowed in Islam to beat the child? So he explained, he said there is a fatwa and there is a taqwa. Fatwa is that you can, but there are conditions, and you have to meet all those conditions. You cannot slap on the face, you cannot do thrice in one row. But taqwa is that you should not do it. It's not encouraged in Islam. It's not acceptable. So if you want to love your child, it does not matter how much you love them. It does matter that how much they love to you. And they would not show their love to you just because that you are taking care of their expenses. No. They only will love you when they feel that you care about their feelings. When they feel that you are actually concerned about them. They always see your hard face. They always see you as a tough guy, always watching them, having surveillance in all the situations, which is good, which should be done. But how to actually act on those surveillance information, that is that will create the difference. So there's two more concepts that I'm gonna share it with you. One is circle of concern and one is circle of influence. How many of you already had the idea of this? Two circles. Circle of concern and circle of influence. So let me explain you what is circle of concern and what is circle of influence. For example, whichever things in your control is your circle of influence. For example, can you be kind to your child? Yes, that's your circle of influence. Can you use polite words? Can you show your love and affection in all the situation? Yes, that's that is circle of influence, where you can actually do something by yourself. But can you change your child confidence in a week and in a month? Probably not. That's a circle of concern. That is not in your control. Can you change the choices that he or she made for them for their career paths? Maybe, may not be. Maybe if you can have a better discussion and engagement. But now the kids are pretty much fixed in their mindset. Whatever they want to do, they if you're having just concern about it, you cannot change it. That's circle of concern. Most of the time, we operate in the circle of concern, where we have little things to do actually, very few influences that we can impact on. So the research mentioned that you try to keep yourself into circle of influence. What can you do to change the relationship domain with your child? Do not focus on the behaviors of the kids because those are the circle of concern. Circle of influence, that how can I improve my conduct, my behavior, so that he can change his relationship with me. So slowly and gradually, if you keep working on circle of influence, it will grow. So circle of influence growing and circle of concern becoming small. That is the way you can improve your relationship here. And you have to be a transition person. You have to actually commit with yourself that I have to break unhealthy, harmful, abusive, or ineffective learned behaviors through our environment and replaces them with proactive, helpful, effective behaviors. So, proactive is not about thinking the future things today. Is not proactive. Proactive is that whenever any stimulus comes to you, pause. And in one word, it's a not reactive. Any stimulus comes to you, you should not be reactive. Not only with your kids, in all the situations, that's gonna make a transformational impact on your personality. And a few more things about the time metrics. This is a very important slide. Uh, as a professional, especially when you work, we almost operate in quadrant one, which is necessary, important, but urgent in a crisis mode. So, emergency meetings, last minute deadlines, pressing problems, unforeseen. So, as a father, you have to plan things as a professional also, but I'm talking about in a parenting perspective. So quadrant two is the most effective, where the things are not urgent but important. And if you plan in advance, for example, if you want to do the deep meeting with your 3 kids or 4 kids, plan it out. when will you do, where will you do, how will you do it? And we discuss about that, how to do it, so to make it a lasting impact. And then the waste, this quadrant four, where we go for the like excessive relaxation, television, gaming, internet, especially the social media. So I just read this morning that China banned all the TikTokers, influencers of their social media posts of relevant area unless they have the qualification for it. So if I'm talking about diabetes and I'm not a diabetologist, they cannot upload anything. They will be behind the bars. So social media is one of the massive time waster for all of us. And look at the research mentioned that we have to be like 65 to 80% spend our time on that, not urgent, but important. And that's the reverse. The research also mentioned that the current status is almost the reverse. We spend the rest of the three quarters almost 65 to 80% time. And here we are always only 20%. So planning will make your time very effective. Emotional background, again, a very important component in relationship building with your child. What is emotional background? Anyone understand this concept? It measures the amount of trust in a relationship. And what is that? It is exactly in the similar way that we operate our bank accounts. You make debits and you make credits also. So credit means you're depositing something in your bank account, and debit means you're taking. When you insult your child, you're actually debiting the account, your account in the mind and heart of your child. If you score, if you keep an eye on their weaknesses, if you embarrass them in front of other friends or siblings or relatives, you're actually draining their bank account. So their emotional bank account about you will be almost at the zero level, and sometimes it goes to negative. What's the benefit of this? If you keep depositing in that emotional bank account, every now and then there will be surplus. So by chance or by mistake, if you hurt the child, the bank account is in surplus. If it debits, it will still be in the positive. So if you appreciate them, credit. If you say thank you, credit. If you give them some gifts on their good performance and whatever the area they're operating, credit. So all the positive things will credit the emotional bank account. And all the negative things will actually debit them. So always check your emotional bank account in the heart and mind of your child. It should be always in a positive. And see, it is a whole life relationship. Many times we feel that it's just a day matter. It's just a week. If I don't correct this behavior today, I'm gonna be a loser. Wrong. It has to be a lifetime relationship. Mashallah is now independent, he's working, but still we enjoy talking to each other. So and it's still and believe me, the role model is you. And I always had this feeling in early, time when he was kid. And I was talking to my wife, if we keep ourselves in good shape, meaning our conduct, our behaviors, our relationship with our siblings, with our relatives, with our neighbors, if we show them the good conduct, it will not be possible they will be in a bad shape. But we have to keep ourselves as a role model. That put a lot of pressure on us. But at the same time, we have to have a good bond with your kids. And that emotional background works hand in hand with building right relationship with your children. So for a strong emotional background, know the person's currency, what makes them happy. What is their currency? What they like? Be sincere and consistent. Make small deposits over time. Remember that close relationships require more deposits. So bond need more deposits. And it's not about the financial deposits. It's about emotional deposits. And that's, make a big difference. Try not to make a withdrawal. Especially insulting of your child is a crime on. And top of it when it is in front of others. Done. So are we?
We'll leave the for the next session.
Yeah, so for the next session, we're gonna talk about the balance in life framework. And Jazakallah for your patience for listening. Your one question that we just skipped that time, you were saying that that way of managing or nurturing the kids were really effective at that time because we all, mashallah, had been in a good shape and we made a good inroads in our life. That was your point?
Yeah, I was just saying, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Basically getting beaten up or too harsh by your parents. Possibly occasionally we may have felt grudge or upset, but then your mom will, give you toffee or somebody will take you out. But somehow it's not like what you're saying about Harvard University. It remained with you for 20 years. Never remained for 20 years with me. And I'm sure neither with others. But I agree. Nowadays, it is a food. Some people, that difference I can understand. So what
Okay.
has changed in the
The
humanity?
brother is trying to say something.
I heard this before saying that we turned out, okay? Even though, we got being inspired by.
And anyone to respond to this very important point,
Yeah.
isn't it? We all had good beatings or whatever. Then we're all fine. We love our parents. We love them so much. We cry for them. Even now we do a lot of isal after they've passed away. So what's the reason?
So I know that you're going to answer maybe in a better way. I just wanted to share my thoughts to actually verify in advance. Because in our times, of course, because of lack of social media and all of that, we were still able to, as children, we were still able to talk to other, elders. So they were able to console us as well. Now we are living in such a time where we are in isolation mode, and our children, of course, they have nowhere to go, and maybe this is why. It's a thought.
So that's one of the reasons. Yeah, important one. Anything else?
I think the way when I go back and think, my parents did that in a class. They didn't have any other motives. Like us, we might be angry on something else, but then take the anger out on our children.
That's a very important point, and that is actually the crux of the matter. It's not about when we say don't be harsh, it does not mean that you can't touch them or beat them. Not talking about that, obviously, with all the conditions. It's never about that. I only got one slap from my father, just once in my life. And obviously, at that point, I was upset and whatever, but I just admire him even more for that. I wish that he did a bit more. So you guys would have better, teacher. Because the reason was they had deep love for us. Every father, he would show the love when it's time for showing love. They would never do that for personal reasons. They would never do that for emotional. Oh, I'm busy doing something, get out. I mean, whatever they do, there is deep love seated there in the heart. And this is always seen here and there. They would do whatever they do. And as Noman mentioned, it is never about taking revenge of something else. I think they were in a way better position because they had the authority in the family as well. So they were not emotionally upset in any way or form or fashion. They could do whatever. So they were doing a role modeling as well as leading the family, and they were respected. They had, all sorts of support there from the society, as you mentioned. So when something happened, someone else would, jump in to help them. Uncle, aunt, older brother. I remember when I had that, my older sibling were all, oh no, don't worry, it's all fine. Yeah, but never do that again. So we were all clear on that. Mom would always say, anyone is beaten up, you go to mom. Mom would never say anything against dad. They said, Or you must, yeah, try to behave next time. Don't do that again. That was the wrong thing, wasn't it? So you always appreciate that you had made a mistake, as opposed to, so everyone is now, as you said, with media, people are saying things, everyone is making it and riling it up. Being harsh, literally, when we say here, don't be bad or scold them, insult them. You don't insult with beating. You insult them with saying very rude words in a very wrong way, in a very negative way. And I've been doing this for you. I never, ever in my life heard this word from my mom or dad that we have done this for you. What have you done for us? We have done never, ever. They always, and there's a lot of relaxation. I would suggest you all think about that just for 1 minute. Your father told you off, slapped you, properly beaten you. What was the reason behind it? Why he did it? Not the emotional reason, like not the philosophical reason. What was the reason? Or because you swore at someone, you were doing something funny. And look at what and how much did they ignore. You would find 20 things that they ignore. And then one day, all of a sudden, a proper beating. But it wasn't daily, it wasn't a daily thing. It feels like it, as Jamshid was mentioning, 20 years, but that is the reason. If you dissect it, you would find actually you can hand count how many times. And in between, 20 things being forgiven, ignored. And sometimes they just do it for my older brother. He was being rebellious for the fact that he would always sleep without slippers in the house. And there was this was a clear-cut instruction to everyone: you can never be without slippers walking in the inside house or wherever you go barefooted. He would do it literally as if he's got this, either he's forgotten or he has got this arrogance of rebellion against it. So he was beaten up properly for that. After 3 or 4 admonition, telling off, or advising, he wouldn't listen. And then after that, he got sorted out. So sometimes that was the thing. But he was ignored for 20 things that I know. I can write it down, I wouldn't tell you. But and I know the dad knew it. And sometimes we both saw together, and I am sad, and dad literally turned his face away and moved the other way as if he never saw it, which was 10 times worse than this. But there was no arrogance, a slip, a mistake. I saw that with myself, with my older brother, with my sisters, and you can find that out in your parents. They would do things in those days, never because they were upset about something else, as you mentioned. So my work, stress, this and that. This is what we do. Our anger is because I'm angry with my wife, so I have to just project it to my children. I'm angry at work, I have to just say it to my wife. All horrible stuff. That is why we are not having our remote control in our hands. Okay. So that's the bottom line. So yes, it would never. And on top of that, they were way pious than us, our parents. They were way pious than us. They had little knowledge, a lot of practice. The time in du'as, I see you, and you see me. We don't have time to make dua. And I know that from the depth of your heart, you want to, but you don't do du'as for your own children. I have seen my father crying in tahajjud several times. He would wake me up because I was doing his. So from the age of 12, he would just wake me up, just, and I would half sleep, whatever. And then he would make me revise the sabah for madrasa to his thingy. So doing it and keep looking at him. Oh my goodness, this man was amazing. He was just standing there on his musalla after prayer, and he's literally begging to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala like a child. This is the most soft person I've ever seen. Who when there's a problem, he looks harsh, but he's so soft spoken. And he's like it's deep down, you can make him cry by giving any pain that you had. And he will start crying in front of you. And a big man, a heavy man, and quite a good personality. He was just completely a soft person inside. So when you see all of that, you know that whatever he's doing, he's making it like this. He's doing it to help us. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put barakah in their lives. So that's why they never had issues. They were work together, husband and wife both work together. Now there's a problem. You say something, your wife would come. Why did you do that? I want to know. And there's a problem, you would come. And she said something, and he said, why are you being too harsh? Calm down. Everyone interferes with everyone else's business. And the kids they're very clever. They take here and there and then get parents to fight each other rather than changing the focus. obviously shaitan is playing, media, all of this influences. So there's so many factors. The most important factor is the sincerity that our parents showed, and sincerity in a sense that you are not misjudging the situation and not being harsh for a personal reason. My grudge. And sometimes you just go crazy for that reason. And that will always backfire because of dhulm now. When it is done with a sin, the barakah has been lifted. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, there is a lot of the dua of a father is accepted for the children. And I doubt that you have made du'as for your children the way you should. Ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, give my children this. That's not dua. This is not the dua I'm talking about. Dua is when you are about to be hanged. And how much would you cry to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? That is the proper dua. I had this trust in my father. So once I asked him that make dua for me for such and such exam, not medical or final exam. It was like A-level equivalent inter exam. We call him inter, FSC. So I'm asking to make dua because there was tough exam of chemistry is always and he did, and I didn't get the score that I wanted in that subject. I was very unhappy. So I wasn't unhappy with me. I knew it was my fault. Paper was really tough. I came back to my father and I said to him, Abu, you do everything in 90 plus, and this one in 70. So just literally put my percentage down in that half yearly exam or whatever that exam was. And I was literally cross with my father. And I was like, you never made dua for me. No, you never. Wallahi, I did. No, you didn't do the way you should be doing. He said, oh yes, I had to go earlier, so I didn't do it. Apologies for that. It was literally, yes, you're right, I couldn't do it. And I was the one, telling him off for not doing it for me because I knew that if he did it, I would have passed it. That's the relationship. I had that trust in my father. He built it. I never knew it. And he never asked me to do it, but I saw him doing those du'as. So this is why when they did something, it never backfired. I mean, because he's my cousin as well, so he knows my father from way before me because he's slightly older than me in age, just age. He's young actually, physically and at heart. The beauty is that he has experienced all of that, because in our families in olden days, everyone would deal with everyone. Whole family, whole community, neighbors, they would sort you out, they would help you out. So, and he's been one of the loveliest son-in-law, so he will always be like in a good book, so drag him to do this and drag him to do that. And many a time, a very sort of a childish request for him to help someone because he was just, and he had to take on board, okay, Mamu. And you know what? I doubt that. I don't know whether he can speak on himself. There was never an occasion where that caused him any trouble, though. He tried whatever he tried, sometimes out of his way because mom was forcing him. No, let go ahead. And he did it with sincerity. And he always found, to my knowledge, issues were not there. Like he didn't have to settle things here and there. But I hope that he would not say that I was let down by this man. He caused me trouble. And many things similar to me happened because they were pious people. They connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They did things with sincerity. Long-winded, but I think there's something that you can take, inshallah ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tawfiq. Let's go for food, inshallah ta'ala, unless there's a very important pressing question. Yeah. You get it set up, and then we'll be calling. Any question? We'll go 5 minutes to wait for the food to just be set.
Yeah. You mentioned this issue we react to there. Is this related to emotional intelligence or we don't have it? The second question you mentioned about the credits you got with,
Emotional backup.
depositing and stuff. You mentioned our figures 20 years, 28 days, something like that, yeah? So how we check our balance and what is the, like you said, it's not financial, it's emotional. Can you elaborate further by giving some examples?
So as I mentioned about when you say thank you to your child, that's a deposit. So you're continuously increasing, and you can, of course, there is no barometer to check how much deposit you have made, but by testing the obedience of your child can tell you the deposit, kind of the level of deposit. So if you're always positive to your child, but that does not mean that you do not correct the course. For correcting the course, you should not be harsh, you should not be tough, but you should be firm and assertive. Firm and assertive means you just stay with the course and then guide them why it is important for you. So, answering a question about first how to know that how much deposits you've made, the love the kids show towards you is actually showing the amount of deposits you have made.
Then are you
If you're
sleeping?
saying, okay, let's go with me to the masjid, and if he starts going with you right away, that means the deposits are high, or whatever the other advices you are giving. So if they are following, that means your deposits are high. And if they are ignorant towards you,
So don't
then
agree.
the deposits are either low or in negative. And then also your point, our time is completely different than this time. Now the research is showing that the generational gap is coming in 2 years. Imagine 2 years. The amount of knowledge and information this device is providing you is mind-boggling. I was in INSEAD for a course on leadership last month, and the artificial intelligence power they showed, I was just mesmerized. It's unimaginable. In a Paris station, they have a campus of INSEAD in an old Paris train station. There were 100 startups working on AI modeling to understand the human brain and understand the human emotions, to understand the responses of those emotions in a real time human behaviors. So imagine this time is completely different. Our children are not talking to Nana, Dada, Chachi, Chacha, Popo. They are talking to the phone and they are talking to the world and they are talking to the latest knowledge and information. And most of the time, they prove us wrong for this knowledge. So that is the point. Our old tricks will not work on them. We were completely naive, honestly. We don't, I mean, the Padosi were not telling anything to us. Is only thing that our parents and the close blood relatives tells us. Now, nothing is, hidden by this device. Everything is known to this device and they are getting all the information and more than us. They are more smarter than us by having this bombardment of the knowledge. So that is, the influence they have. And they rightly understand that they know everything. How the hell you can teach them? They know probably better than you. So it is only the love can bend them towards you. So one of the scholars said that, somebody asked him, my amount of love is not working. What to do? I showed so much love and affection, and all the time I'm very polite. He said, no option, just increase the quantity of love. So if you're providing 1 kilogram love, make it like 2 kilogram. That's the only option, nothing else. But your question and your comment is very relevant.